Good to see everybody here. Appreciate you being out here. Really the last day of training camp in terms of getting into game week next week for the Chiefs. When we come back on Friday, we'll be in official game week. We'll be in 6 days up until the night game against the Chiefs on Thursday night. So this practice was pointing us toward that, and that's our preparation right now. I just want to say a little more looking back on Joe D. Just want to express again our heartfelt condolences and our very best wishes and prayers to Joe's family, his 3 amazing daughters who have been with him every step of the way, all of his great grandkids that we saw taped today with our players, his grandkids on the sideline before a game, running around here in the field house, all those kind of things. That means so much when we look back on Joe's life and what an impact he had on so many people. You see some of the tributes that you all did. It's so appreciated. I mean, you guys really captured Joe, I thought, just perfectly well with your tributes, both in the written and in the TV stuff. So thank you for that. This was a good man, a good coach, just a great person, a great man of faith. So he was kind of an inspiration for all of us here for sure. So we want to honor him for sure with this season, and we want to honor Jacoby Jones with this season. Those are 2 people that we're going to dedicate our season to this year and do everything we can to make them proud of us when they're watching from where they're watching. So we appreciate those 2 great men very much. What questions you have?
Do you have a special moment or story that kind of stands out during your time with him?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many really cool things, but just, when he was telling me stories about growing up in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, which is a football hotbed, a small town, and all they do is play football. And he said he'd grow up, basically it's a small town. You had the Italian neighborhood, you had all the different enclaves, and they were small towns, so they were right close together. It's a block here, a block there, and they'd get together and they'd play against each other and with each other. And he said, all grown up, from dawn until dusk, and it was really football. It was a football town. Then they'd get to the high school and they were all on the same team, and they were a powerhouse. And those are some of his best friends to this day. I think that's pretty cool. He was working in the steel mill when he was 17 and 18 years old, and that's the molten, the steel mill, the molten steel coming out of the big vats that we don't have anymore, that America needs to bring back. We're for that, right? Are we? Yeah, so not getting political here, but let's bring back the steel mills, because guys like Joe Delisandris worked in the steel mills as a teenager, and he did mention that what he was taught by the older guys working in the steel mill, that before you took your shift, you had a shot of whiskey. 1 shot of whiskey to get you ready for your tour of duty there. So that was pretty cool. And then all the great coaching stories over the years, and then all the players that just that said stuff. And I think of even guys like RG3 as a quarterback talking about him. So those are pretty cool things.
John, do you get a sense of how it's impacting? I'm sure all of you guys are feeling it, but specifically the offensive linemen, the guys that were working with him on a daily basis. You get a sense of how those guys are dealing with this?
Ronnie Stanley said some really good things. Talked to Tyler. Pat McCarry spoke to the team today about it. Those guys that have been with him for a long time, even the young guys who were impacted by him, the rookies even, I think they were a little quieter today, and locked in, as was the whole team, especially in the team meeting. I think his memory is going to be on our minds, and it should be, and it should motivate us.
Coach, how difficult is the next 24 hours, setting the roster, talking to guys not making a team, etc.?
Yeah, that's a great question, Todd. I mean, that's an ongoing process, so I think we continue on. It's not like all of a sudden we have to make cuts and we haven't been thinking about it. We've been thinking about it really every day. So we have a very good idea where we're at. There are moving parts. There's different rules and eligibilities and different things like that, different needs, injuries, things like that you take into account in order to set the roster and take advantage of trying to keep as many of the good players as you can, and because we have a lot of good players. So that's what we're trying to work out now, and we'll have that done by tomorrow.
There was a report that that 3rd quarterback rule has changed, and now if you want to have that emerging quarterback available, he has to be on the 53. Will that change how you approach that?
It sure could. I mean, it just depends. We were kind of counting on the rule. I didn't know it changed until Chad told me walking off the field just now. So I think the PA vetoed it. That's what happened. So they vetoed it for whatever good reason that they had, and we'll have to change our thinking on that.
John, do you make a decision on the 3 open spots in the offensive line in terms of who will start there?
We have. I'm not going to make any announcements on any starting positions going into the Chiefs game. You know, what would be the point? We'll just go play the game.
John, do you anticipate any, as in last year, you rotated tackles throughout the back half of the season? Do you anticipate that could be a practice you would have for the regular season?
Sure. I mean, that definitely could be a possibility. I think it's something that we did last year effectively. So that's kind of a new strategy. You know, not many people have done that before. You know, we'll have to take credit for it with Joe D. You know, one of Joe D's innovations.
John, it looked like Tyler Linderbaum was back out there today. How do you feel like he looked coming back today?
I thought he looked good out there. It's good to see Tyler Linderbaum out there at practice. So it's good. That was I'm pleased with that.
On anything you could share about maybe what you might have heard on Nick Samac's injury?
Yeah, it was an ankle sprain, not a major ankle sprain at all. He was out there today as well, practicing. He was full speed, so he's okay. Yeah.
John, on injuries, also saw Kyle Hamilton leave, with practice, and then wasn't out there today,
Yeah.
and then Nelson Aguilar as well.
Yeah, and I'll just say this about all those things. I definitely don't mean to interrupt you, but it's there's no serious injuries. None of those guys have anything that's going to keep them out, unless something crops up that I don't know about. So I'll say that, then something will happen maybe, and you guys will be like, "Oh, you didn't tell us the truth." So, it is what it is. But there's nothing now that's going to keep anybody out of practice on Friday, or that you don't know about. Like Ali's still up in the air, I can tell you that. But other than that, it's just we're not really going to get into too much talk about the injuries, because why? It's a competitive disadvantage to get too deep into what your guys' injuries are. It puts them not in the best position competitively, and us the same thing. We like to keep our opponents guessing a little bit. That's a benefit to us. So that's kind of where we're at during the season. If it doesn't have anything to do with, like, if I think the opponent already knows and it's obvious, I'll just say it. But because they know he's on the concussion protocol with Ali, so until he gets off the concussion protocol, they know he's out. So I can talk about that. Anybody else like that, it wouldn't be favorable to us or to the player to give out information to the Chiefs or the Raiders or anybody else. It just doesn't help us. We're trying to have every possible edge we can.
John, does it feel there are more kind of questionable injury types when you're trying to sort this 53 than other years? You mentioned Ali and other players that you have to kind of figure out how, plus with the change this year where you can put 2 to IR short term before you cut. Does that all feel different this year or not really?
Well, that's a little different, yeah. That you don't have to cut guys and then bring them back and all those kind of rules. They clean that rule up, so you can just do it. Guys need to be on short-term IR, and I think those rules have been good. Used to be you had to put a guy on IR for the rest of the season, or you had to carry him. That wasn't good for anybody. So I think the NFL has done a fantastic job of just bringing common sense into the equation with that stuff, because guys don't want to bounce around teams. They want to get dug in. They want to keep developing, usually with the team that they're at. So why should injuries cause people to start moving around? So that's been really good. As far as the difference in the injuries, we haven't had a lot of serious injuries. That's probably the biggest difference. We've had little things here and there, but that's if you don't have little things here and there, you're not even practicing. We've had little things off the field. Josh Ross, his issue was a car accident. So I think we've had a great camp that way. But that's day by day. So we just kind of keep going day by day with that and see where we go.
John, it will be about 24 hours until everything gets found. For you, what is the next 24 hours? Are you constantly talking to Eric? Are you talking to coaching staff? How does that process, or maybe over the next 24 hours, goes for you?
We've had most of those conversations already, and I think for now it'll be just if anything changes, if anything becomes available, we'll have a conversation other than just talking. But we have a plan in place, and then everything is written firmly in chalk. It can be erased at any moment and changed. So, well, not everything. Lamar will be here. Mark Andrews will be here. You can. That's engraved. That's in stone. That's engraved in stone, tablets, mountain, at least for now.
We know how important special teams is to those the consideration of those final 3 spots. Did you kind of get a sense for, with the new rules by the end of the preseason, just what the kind of traits you're looking for from those guys to fill those kind of spots?
Right. We do have a plan for that. I think it's still going to remain to be seen, because it's still in experimental stages right now. But we kind of got some clues as far as what type of body types we want in different spots, and bigger, smaller, faster, all those kind of things. Hopefully, and we'll just see how it plays out.
You mentioned, obviously, the injuries by and large went quite well, and this being the end of camp. Overall assessment then of kind of where you think, all right, did you get done really all that you wanted to get done during this time?
I think we did, Pete. You know, I mean, you always want to get the most done as you possibly can. So, and what is that? What are we measuring that against? That's kind of hard to say what that number, what that amount of getting stuff done was. But I feel good with the process in the sense that everybody was locked in, everybody was fully committed, everybody did the best they could in every circumstance. You know, we chased perfection as best we could. And we're going to try to do the same throughout the course of the season. Like I told the guys, we're going to play Thursday night against the Chiefs. We've been pointed toward that the whole, you know, off season, of course, since the schedule came out. But after that game, we get in that locker room, we come back Friday from that game, there's going to be another game in front of us. It's going to be the Raiders, you know. After that, I think it's the Cowboys. Is that right? So we're going to have a whole season. So that will be a beginning for us, not an end. It's an end right now because that's the next challenge. After that, it'll be a beginning and a launch point. And we're going to try to improve every day throughout the course of the season.
Owen Wright's injury. There's been a lot of talk about the number 3 running back role. Do you feel pretty good about the options in-house, or is that something you feel like you may have to look outside?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, Jeff, that's all speculative. You know, I mean, it just depends. I like the guys in-house. If there's something outside that looks really great, I'm sure we'll look at it. It just depends who the names are, you know, what the options are. It's like going for it on 4th down. You know what I mean? What are your chances of getting it? Is it going to help us win the game or not? So it just kind of comes down to that. We'll be open to anything. I mean, if the right player becomes available, I'm quite sure Eric will be looking at him. But, you know, people aren't in the habit of getting rid of really great players right before the season starts. You know.
We can do 2 more.
Should we bring back a shot of whiskey before work?
Yeah, we could all wait before the press conference. Well, you know, we could do that. You going to be the first buy? You going to buy for everybody?
Good.
Anything else? All right, thanks, guys. We could do that for